Welcome to Chapter 26, Trauma Overview. This chapter aims to apply fundamental knowledge to provide basic and advanced emergency care and transportation for acutely injured patients based on assessment findings. Our focus will be on trauma, a critical aspect of emergency care where prompt and appropriate response can significantly impact patient outcomes. Unintentional injury is a leading cause of death and disability for individuals aged 1 to 44. Proper pre-hospital evaluation and care can minimize suffering, long-term disability, and death from trauma. Evaluating the mechanism of injury helps us develop an index of suspicions for various serious and potentially life-threatening injuries. Traumatic injuries occur when the body's tissues are exposed to energy levels beyond their tolerance. This can be due to various forms of injury, including mechanical, kinetic, potential, chemical, thermal, and barometric energies. Different forms of energy produce different types of trauma. Mechanical energy involves motion. Kinetic energy relates to the mass and speed of an object. And potential energy is stored in objects. Chemical energy results from chemical reactions, thermal energy from heat, and barometric energy from pressure changes. Different types of MRIs produce a variety of injuries. Trauma patients may suffer from multi-system trauma, falls, vehicle crashes, pedestrian incidents, gunshot wounds, and stabbings. Maintaining a high index of suspicion for serious unseen injuries is vital in trauma care. Blunt trauma occurs without penetration of the body's soft tissues, internal organs, or cavities, while penetrating trauma involves objects piercing the body. Both types require different management approaches based on the nature and severity of the injury. Blunt trauma results from an object making contact with the body. Common causes include motor vehicle crashes and falls. It's essential to maintain a high index of suspicion for hidden injuries during these patient assessments. Motor vehicle crashes involve 3 collisions: the vehicle against another object, the passenger against the vehicle's interior, and the passenger's internal organs against their body's solid structures. Each collision phase has unique injury patterns. Understanding the mechanism of injury in motor vehicle crashes helps predict injury patterns. Severe vehicle deformity or intrusion correlates with significant MOI, and evaluating the patient's restraint system's effectiveness is crucial. Evaluating the supplemental restraint system in frontal crashes is very important. Check if the passenger was properly restrained and if the airbag deployed. Unseen abdominal injuries can also occur, especially in our pediatric population. Contact points with the vehicle can indicate injury locations. Restraint systems, if used improperly, can cause harm. Ejection from the vehicle often leads to severe secondary impact injuries. Impacts with the steering wheel can cause chest injuries, including lung damage. Chest injuries from blunt trauma often form a ring pattern around the impact site. Rear-end crashes commonly cause whiplash injuries. Lateral crashes result in lateral whiplash injuries and potential fractures. Assessing the neck's rotation and lateral flexion is important for proper diagnosis. Rollover crashes involve complex injury patterns. Unrestrained passengers may sustain multiple impacts. Ejection or partial ejection is the most common life-threatening event in rollovers. Rotational crashes combine frontal and lateral impacts. 3-point seatbelts are effective in preventing injuries in angled crashes up to 45 degrees. Vehicle versus pedestrian crashes involve 3 impact phases: vehicle versus the pedestrian onto the hood, and pedestrian onto the ground. Injury patterns depend on the pedestrian's height and impact area. It also depends on the vehicle type, whether that's a passenger car, truck, or large truck such as ambulance, semi-truck. Vehicle versus bicycle crashes are similar to pedestrian crashes. Evaluate bicycle's damage and position. Presume spinal column or spinal cord injury until proven otherwise. Motorcycle crashes require cervical spine assessment. Types of impacts include head-on, angular, ejection, and laying the bike down. Evaluate deformity and damage to the motorcycle and helmet. Falls from heights have high injury potential. Assess the height, surface type, and body parts that hit first. Internal injuries are the gravest threat, especially in older adults with osteoporosis. Penetrating trauma is classified as low, medium, or high energy. Low energy trauma may involve impalement by a knife or other weapon. Proper classification helps determine the extent of injuries. High velocity gunshot wounds can cause significant injuries. Estimating the body area involved involves examining the entrance and exit wound and the weapon's characteristics. Determine the number of penetrating injuries and their pathways. Gunshot wounds have complex trajectories. Frangible bullets and hollow point bullets increase tissue damage. Bullet speed is also a major factor in injury patterns. Cavitation from pressure changes causes temporary and permanent tissue damage. The relationship between distance and injury severity varies with weapon type. Air resistance slows projectiles, reducing tissue damage. Also note that exit wounds are typically larger than the entrance wounds. Blast injuries are common in military and the industrial setting. Primary blast injuries result from the pressure wave. Proximity to the explosion also increases injury risk. This slide shows the mechanism of blast injuries. Understanding these mechanisms helps in assessing and managing the blast trauma effectively. Secondary blast injuries result from flying debris. Tertiary blast injuries occur when a person is hurled against objects. Both cause blunt and penetrating traumas. Quaternary blast injuries result from miscellaneous events during explosions, while quinary injuries involve biologic, chemical, or radioactive contaminants. Organs containing air, such as the lungs and eardrums, are susceptible to barotrauma. Pulmonary blast injuries can cause pneumothorax and require emergency decompression. Neurological injuries are common in blast trauma. Multi-system trauma involves multiple body parts. Rapid treatment and transport are crucial. These patients have high morbidity and mortality, necessitating prompt and coordinated care. The golden principle of pre-hospital trauma care include ensuring safety, assessing the need for additional personnel, evaluating the MOI, and managing life threats. Airway assessment and cervical spine stabilization are also very important. Complete basic shock therapy, rapidly proceeding with spinal mobilization if needed, and obtaining a sample history for critically injured patients is very important. Consider paramedic intercept or air medical transport depending on your local protocols. Identifying life-threatening conditions early improves patient outcomes. Assess, triage, treat, and transport trauma patients to the most appropriate facility for their injuries. Head injuries can cause unseen brain damage. Neck and throat injuries may obstruct the airway. Always use an occlusive dressing on open neck wounds to prevent air embolus. Blunt chest trauma can fracture ribs or the sternum and damage major vessels. Reassess the chest region every 5 minutes in trauma patients to monitor for pneumothorax, tension pneumothorax, and hemothorax. Something else you may want to note is a spontaneous cardiac tamponade due to trauma. Abdominal injuries can involve solid organ tears and hollow organ ruptures. Healthy young adults compensate for blood loss longer but maintain a high suspicion for internal injuries. Use DCAP BTLS for reassessment. The trauma lethal triad: hypothermia, coagulopathy, and acidosis contributes to mortality. Control bleeding aggressively, use warm IV fluids with an inline warmer if possible, and monitor end-tidal CO2. Consider paramedic backup if needed. Limit your on-scene time to less than 10 minutes for critically injured patients. Identify those with dangerous MOIs, decreased consciousness, airway or circulation threats, and chronic illnesses for rapid transport. Choose between ground and air transport based on patient needs and local protocols. Air transport is preferable when ground transport is delayed or unavailable within the ideal time frame per your local protocols. Air medical services are indicated for extended access periods, distances over 20 to 25 miles, ALS level care needs, traffic delays, and multiple casualty incidents. Follow your local protocol for air transport needs. Transport patients to the most appropriate facility based on injury severity and local trauma center criteria. Familiarize yourself with referral criteria to ensure optimal patient outcomes. Trauma centers are classified into 1 to 4 levels, with level 1 having the most resources and level 4 having the least. Understand how the American College of Surgeons classifies trauma care to make informed transport decisions.